Welcome back to our channel. Hi everyone. According to a report by the US Congressional Budget Office, the war in Iraq lasted from 2003 to 2011, and the reconstruction that followed had cost them more than $1.9 trillion. A huge number, twice the amount spent on the Vietnam War. So why did the US invade Iraq? It all started with the name of Saddam Hussein. In 1972, while serving as vice chairman of Iraq's Revolutionary Command Council, he ordered the nationalization of the oil industry, causing 5 United States oil companies to withdraw from Iraq and lose huge profit. In the same year, he also signed the Iraq-Soviet Treaty on behalf of the president. Accordingly, the two countries promote cooperation in many fields, including the struggle against imperialism. Therefore, Iraq and Saddam both became a thorn in the eyes of the United States. In 1979, Saddam became president. Immediately after taking office, he proceeded to defeat the opposing forces. Among them, there were Kurds and Shia Muslims. Saddam's repressions resulted in thousands of deaths, but also because of that, security in Iraq was ensured. Thanks to large oil revenues, Saddam actively modernized the country and improved the quality of the life of the people, while his government also increased defense spending, strengthening the military to maintain power. In 1990, Saddam made one of the biggest mistakes of his career, invading Kuwait to obtain oil. He used the excuse that Kuwait had been part of Iraq before it was divided by the United Kingdom, so it needed to be reunited. Moreover, they did not obey, increasing production, causing oil prices to drop and stealing Iraqi oil. Saddam sent troops to occupy Kuwait in a week, but he didn't know that he had upset the Americans. At that time, Iraq's military force was the 4th largest in the world with more than 1 million soldiers. The United States believes that Iraq's invasion of Kuwait is the first step in its plan to control countries in the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia, home to important United States oil resources. So, they joined a coalition of 34 other countries to enter Iraq and attack Iraq. In 1998, the world oil price increased and the oil fields were discovered more and more. So Saddam chuckled. Iraq entered a period of rapid economic growth. Around the 2000s, the United States Energy Information Administration conducted an investigation and revealed that Iraq has proven oil reserves of 112 billion barrels, ranking the second in the world, just behind Saudi Arabia. In addition, about 90% of the area remains unexplored, making Iraq the country with the largest oil potential in the world. Iraq's huge oil mountain was quickly brought to the ears of the US President George Bush and Vice President Dick Cheney. Mr. Dick was once the chief executive officer of an oil company. Mr. Bush used to be an oil employee, so both of them understand the value of oil. Not only for money, oil is also part of a common strategy to maintain and exercise United States global hegemony. The US needs to hold what every country needs. Therefore, the US Congress has repeatedly discussed how to have large oil reserves, and the Middle East is the goal they are aiming for. Importing is a simple measure, but prices are volatile and oil production is unstable, especially in Arab countries that have always had anti-American sentiments. Therefore, it is best for the US to control the oil fields by itself. Meanwhile, Iraq is a country rich in oil, easy to exploit, and has top potential, but it nationalized them. That is why the focus of the United States decided to invade Iraq in 2003 to force Iraq to privatize its oil so that the US could send its companies to get the oil. They used the excuse that Saddam was sponsoring Al-Qaeda and developing mass weapons. To legalize, the US submitted to the United Nations, but it was not approved because they didn't have convincing evidence. However, they still waged war. On March 20, 2003, the US, along with the UK and some allies, attacked Iraq. With their superior strength in weapons and well-prepared combat plans, they quickly defeated Iraq. In April 9th, the US coalition captured the capital Baghdad and Saddam had to flee. The UN inspectors that searched for weapons of mass destruction and evidence of support for Saddam's al-Qaeda, but they found nothing because that's not true. On December 13, 2003, Saddam was captured while hiding in a bunker. In 2006, Saddam was executed by hanging for crimes against humanity, namely the killing of 148 Kurds in 1982. Although some European leaders opposed the death penalty for humanitarian reasons, the US still decided to eliminate the aftermath. A new government was established, the oil industry was privatized, American companies jumped in mining. However, the war is not over yet. The Kurds rebelled, the Shia attacked the Sunni. The Iraqi ex-soldiers resisted the new government. Taking advantage of chaos, al-Qaeda established a branch in Iraq. They turned against the Americans and involved many veterans. Iraq turned into a mess. Americans come to find terrorists as an excuse, but in the end, they create a paradise for terrorists. In 2007, the US mobilized its military to a record level, with more than 170,000 soldiers to defeat al-Qaeda and insurgents to maintain security for the new government. Within 4 years, the United States has spent hundreds of billions of dollars on the war and carried out uncompromising destruction. By 2011, more than 1 million Iraqis had been killed and Iraq's security was basically stable. The US-built government forces here were confident that they could control the situation, so the United States decided to withdraw. Soon after, al-Qaeda rebuilt its forces, gradually grew, more and more Iraqis joined the organization. In 2014, al-Qaeda expanded into Syria, changing its name to the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS for short. This organization quickly defeated the Iraqi government forces despite the number of times smaller and took control of a quarter of the territory in 1990. Therefore, the US was forced to send troops back. The Obama administration has deployed more than 1,000 advisors and officers to help train and support Iraqi government troops. They then carried out airstrikes for more than 3 years until ISIS completely collapsed. Currently, the Iraqi government was basically controlled the situation, although terrorist attacks still occur frequently, along with ethnic and sectarian conflicts. Despite the loss of many lives and nearly $2 trillion and a lot of international criticism, the United States ultimately achieved its goal of taking control of Iraq's vital oil fields. Our video ends here. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.